from one Italian racing circuit to another. Welcome to round 3 of the Simufur AM Championship. I am your host Suzuka Shark, and alongside me, not Azure Goat, but a newcomer to the Simufur commentary team who is currently on trial. Please welcome Kady.
Hi, happy to be here. Beautiful day for racing here in Imola. First time we've run this track in the dry since 2021. Last time we had it on the calendar was Pro Plat. I was actually in that race. That was a lot of fun in the wet, but definitely a lot more opportunities to keep things tidy in the dry. And the track is absolutely boiling today, 41C at practice time, so it'll be a tire deck race throughout today. Should pose a fun challenge for our AM drivers.
That's right. Looks really bright and sunny out here in Emilia Romagna, at least virtually. So it's, yeah, as you see that's going wide, it's going to be really tricky on those tires, and it's definitely a great way to test the AM's tire conservation amidst rough conditions such as the scorching heat.
Definitely, for sure. It'll be a decision between our drivers whether they want to come in for the undercut, get that pace back early, and then be suffering through the tire dig through the end, or if they want to split it right down the middle and try to just minimize their tire dig throughout both of their stints. Strategy should be pretty important for this race, and absolutely expecting a very interesting race today.
Yep, I remember how strategy paid off for me back years ago in GT3, in the 4th GT3 series. Landed me my first silver class podium in the main series, so it's going to be interesting to see who will come out on top in terms of strategic planning and, of course, raw pace. Because at the moment, Dirk right now with a 144.8, currently on top. Not too far behind right now is Eggpool, and finishing top 3 at the moment is Timberfox.
Yeah, this is a really tight championship right now, which is part of what makes this race so exciting. We only have 2 rounds left. There's just one more after this one, and depending on what happens today, one incident or a couple cars coming together could change our table quite considerably, especially near the top.
That's right. And right now, the free practice session is over, and we are just waiting to go over to qualifying, as some of our other drivers have yet to complete their laps. But talking about Imola, it's actually I'd like to add that this is actually one of my favorite tracks on ACC. I've spent a lot of time, this is pretty much my test bed for new cars, new setups, etc. So this circuit's definitely lands home for me.
I absolutely could not agree more. I think if I had to pick one track as my all-time favorite, it's probably this one. There's a great mix of different speeds of corner, lots of very technical mid-speed stuff. It's really going to test our drivers' ability to maximize every inch of the track surface, get the best exits that they can, and minimize their time through these corners. There's a couple of different overtaking opportunities around this track. The one that you'll probably see the most often is into turn 1, Tamburello. Later on in the lap, there's the Tossa hairpin, which a couple drivers might try to throw one down there, as well as in the Variante Alta. And then, of course, in the middle there, you have Aqua Minerale, which is one of the most difficult corner complexes to take in ACC, I would argue. It's a very difficult. You're sort of braking downhill and turning, and going into a narrowing corner. It's a very tough to get it exactly right, and that's what our drivers are going to need to do today for about 35 laps.
Yep, I can really agree with Aqua Minerale. Really tricky technical bit of this circuit, and just hits nice when you nail that bit just perfectly. But yeah, Imola, a old school circuit, so it's changed a lot throughout the years, especially down bits like Tamburello, which before the tragic passing of Ayrton Senna was a fast left-hander, and only one could imagine how that would have felt. Well, the closest we could get is like an Assetto Corsa mod for sure.
Absolutely. Here comes Lappy rounding out Rivazza 1 and 2 here to come onto our first flying lap of this qualifying session. Lappy piloting the number 87 Mustang machine, and they'll be laying down a time for the rest of the field, laying down the gauntlet here.
Alright, it's the first braking zone here, coming into Tamburello chicane. They're sausage curbs, so you don't want to go too deep, but that Mustang just takes it quite nicely. Just get that exit, focus on the power as you head into the second chicane, Variante Villeneuve. It's a fast left-handers tightening into it right, and just really bumpy down there, but you really gotta get that exit right. Don't go on the gravel into this hairpin right here, really tight. Just have to be patient when it comes to the power, especially with that Ford Mustang. Really slippery on those rears as we head into, I assume this is the Piratella. Yep, this is the Piratella braking into a mid-speed left-hander corner. Oh, that was a bit wide. I think that's still under track limits. I'm not sure, but heading into Aqua Mineral, you better nail this. Really tricky to go wide here, but Lappy just goes around, circumnavigates that section quite nicely as you brake hard into this next bit. The Variante Alta, really bumpy curves over there. Just gotta take those like a champ, and Lappy taking those like a champ for sure in that hefty Mustang as they head into the final two corners. The two Rivazzas, I assume. Two 90-degree left-handers. You have to be really patient because you have to put the power down, and it has to be precise because once you get that power down, you'll have the top speed advantage that you'll need down Tamburello. But that's a lap around Imola with Lappy. And what does that set? It is a 1 minute 44.2, so that is the time to beat.
Yeah, pretty tidy there from Lappy. Not too many mistakes that I could see. And of course, with that Mustang, with all that torque on the rear wheels, it's very, very hard to get that perfect exit that you need out of there, and goes just a little bit onto the sand there on their second lap. These drivers will be taking probably a couple of laps around here for each of their qualifying stints, just to see if they can go a little bit faster, push those track limits a little bit more. Here's Zephyr now heading into the Tossa hairpin on their lap. Zephyr has just set about 4/10 lower than Lappy's Sector 1, so still getting through here pretty well, but it is quite tight already in this qualifying session.
Yep, Zephyr at the moment not much improvement, but by the looks of things, it is still a RRP 1-2 as it stands as we look over to Neo, who's heading over into Aqua Minerale. That McLaren just navigating those curves quite nicely there, putting down the power into Alta Chicane. Now the McLaren, I don't think it's the best when it comes to curves, but let's see how Neo takes it. Not too much curving, so that's pretty smooth, pretty neat for a car like that as they put down the power. Currently, they are almost a second off their previous best, so we're definitely going to be seeing an improvement with Neo here coming into the two Rivazzas. Now, what will this time be? Currently, still 1 second off their previous best. Might as well be better. That time still hanging on. And for Neo, this might be a huge improvement. This might gain them several places. And now that lands Neo in... We're just waiting, and I don't think... Yeah, it looks like Neo got an invalid lap time because I don't see any updates as of the moment. Speaking of big gainers of this track, there's... Oh, never mind, as we see Neo slipping in the Tamburello curbs. But as I was about to say, Wolf and Foxtail, if I was correct, I think I saw their delta as a 1.3. I could be wrong, and no, I'm right. It's 1:45.0 for Wolf and Foxtail, P5.
Yeah, that's how easy it is to upset the McLaren over those curves. Absolutely. So as our table stands right now, Lappy's still on top with that 44.2 being the best, and they're currently on about a tenth and a half improvement. But Zephyr is not far behind on that 44.2 and is improving. We'll be seeing this track getting faster and faster as this session goes on, and our drivers will probably be fairly quick to come into the pits for new tires because of the hot track. The tire degradation will be quite high, and their best laps will be their first couple in each stint. So not a lot of opportunities to get it right here. As Eggful is crossing the line now, that's going to be a provisional pole for Eggful for a 43.4. That is by far our fastest lap by 0.8 here, and we'll see if anybody can do any better.
Yep, a new pole sitter might be joining this race. We won't know until 7 minutes ago, but you're right, Kady. Track limits is, track evolution is going to be a big factor here because the rubber is just going down. And I was about to say, track limits, really easy to breach the track limits here, especially down corners like Aqua Minerali, the Alta chicanes, as we see Rico right now setting a lap time that is currently half a second off their previous best. What can Rico do? This is a newcomer, as far as I'm concerned, to the EM Championship in that green, blue, yellow Porsche. I don't want to assume things, but it looks like Brazilian colors. I don't know, but here comes Rico in the final two left-handers. What can Rico do?
Pretty good Sector 1 and Sector 2 there from Rico, and we'll see what they end up with as they cross the line. That's going to be an improvement in time, but not in position. Still P9, but down to a 46.8 now, only a tenth behind Hooseworks in P8, who is one of our two drivers today who is going to be able to score points for the first time, as they've been promoted from National to AM. There's been some pretty good results from our two Nat drivers, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of effect they might have on our times today. Here's Kuryanka, was the other one of those former Nat drivers, is currently on for not their best Sector 1, but is heading through the two Ravatsas at the moment. We'll see what they can end up with. P4 at the moment. About a half a tenth, it looks like, on the Delta right now. That should put them actually ahead of Lappy and on our podium to start this race. And it is less than a tenth behind Zephyr. Very, very tight at the top of our table here.
Yep, and it's nice to see Kuryanka come in with a wonderful livery. Now, last round, I don't think I saw Kuryanka with a livery for that Porsche, but right now it is dazzling pink and purple. So it's really great to see all the creativity of these people in Simufur. And speaking of the Simufur community, you can go over to our Discord at discord.gg/Simufur. You'll see fellow sim racers, fellow furries who enjoy sim racing. And if you want to race in with the fun with us, well, this is the place for you.
A lot of our drivers coming into the pits now. They'll be expecting to get out for what should be their last stints of this qualifying session. We have less than 5 minutes remaining, and it looks like our podium at the moment is Eggful on top. Has not improved from that 43.4, but should be expecting a bit of an improvement towards the end of the session. Kuryanka in P2 at the moment with that 44 flat. Very, very close to Eggful in Sector 2. And then third is our only Lamborghini of the championship, Zephyr, with a 44.1 at the moment. But all of that could change as we head into these last few minutes of our qualifying session today.
Yep, Eggful and Kuryanka, not newcomers to the series, as I would like to say that Zephyr and Dirk here, the guys you want to look out for, because these two are the current championship contenders, excluding Electroshocks, who, as far as I'm concerned, is not partaking in Imola due to external reasons. I am not sure as to why, but yes, we hope to see them next week for the finale over at the Suzuka circuit, not to be confused with me.
This is not the pole that I was expecting for this race. Certainly, Zephyr and Dirk very tight in that title fight at the top of our table at the moment. So it might just come down to whether they can make up places in the race and whether one of them can finish ahead of the other. But it'll be a very interesting race, regardless of where things sort of end up at the end here. We have Explorer here driving the number 529 Ferrari machine coming through Aqua Minerale. That looked nice and tidy there on the exit. You do want to be careful coming out of there, but as the session drags on, we'll see drivers take more and more risks with the track limits and clattering over these curbs, especially coming into the Variante Alta.
Yep, the more miles you put up on this session, the more risk you would like to take, especially in a qualifying session, because you've been to that bit over and over, and you just know where to you just learn how hard you can push the car. As Wolfen
Huge
got
moment.
got a bit of a slide down the second Piratella, and that's not gonna help their lap time. They are currently matching their best, and of course that is no gain as of the moment, so unfortunate case for Wolfen. But JPEG Fox here currently 7/10 off their personal best, slowly losing a bit of time, but regaining that on the straights. That Aston Martin putting down the power. They are currently 8/10. This is definitely going to bring them up. Where will this bring JPEG? It brings JPEG to the front row.
Incredible lap there from JPEG Fox. It's a 43.8, only 4/10 behind Eggfools now, who's still that first lap from Eggfools, still the fastest of this session. And that will be a new contender for our provisional pole here. Just a minute left. The folks crossing the line now will be taking their final laps. So this will be JPEG's last opportunity to try to take provisional pole from Eggful, and is already a couple tenths down on their personal best through the first sector. So it'll be a tough job to beat, but we'll see what happens as we close in on the last few seconds of qualifying here.
By the looks of things, as we head over to lap, who is currently 2/10 down, but some of our drivers are starting to stay in the pits, probably because they couldn't set a proper enough time to get a proper run at the circuit, or just want to rest their wheels for when race day arrives. As Lappy riding over those curves in the Alta chicanes. What will this be for Lappy? They are currently 7/10 down on their personal best. Will this be the saving grace that Lappy needs to get that Mustang in the front as they head into the final Piratella corner, putting down the power of that V8 engine? Where will Lappy be in this last moments of qualifying? It is going to be the front row. Lappy steals the front row from JPEG.
And JPEG in the pits, they will not improve on their lap times, so that should be a secure P1 for Eggful and a secure P2 for Lappy. And Dirk crosses the line, makes it to P3. And here we go for one of our last laps here from Felipe, the number 11 McLaren here. Coming through is on about a 4/10 improvement as it stands, which should put them up a place or two, but it looks like our front two rows have been decided. It's Eggful P1, Lappy P2, Dirk P3, ahead of JPEG Fox in P4. And critically for our championship, Zephyr has ended our session P6, which is going to have a lot of ground to make up if they want to catch Dirk up there. So as we headed here, let's take a look at our results from qualifying.
as we wait over to for the qualifying results to process and the point standings to show up, well, I'd like to add that Zephyr is under threat because conveniently as the as the standings show up, while Zephyr has a quite a sizable points lead compared to Dirk, Zephyr is far down in the grid compared to him, so it's going to be quite a risk to see who comes out on front. Now, of course, Electroshock's not making up this round, so there don't expect them to be gaining any ports tonight, of course, but all eyes are on Zephyr and Dirk to see who can steal the championship lead on the penultimate round heading into the finale.
Massive opportunity for both of them, for sure.
And as you see, as the point standings continue down, our last point scorer as we speak, Verona there. Now, Irby, Husquarks, and Kirienka have yet to score points. Now, Husquarks and Kirienka, as far as I'm concerned, have now been promoted to the AM class. So that means that they're eligible to score some points in this race.
And they're in a good position to do it. Kirienka up in P5 with a very impressive 44 flat. If they can keep up that pace in the race, they should be on track for a very good result. Meanwhile, further down, Husworks is going to be starting last today, but not too far behind on pace from Rico. So an opportunity perhaps to make up some points, especially if there are any incidents further down in the field heading into turn 1.
That's right, 11 cars have set their lap times for this race, and it's currently 12 cars on grid because we do have the safety car once again with us tonight. Andrea Spitzer behind the wheel of that BMW M2 CS safety car that we have, keeping an eye on the field to see if any incidents needs patrolling.
Should hopefully be a lot cleaner than our previous wet races here, which, of course, when you throw weather into the mix, that always makes it a lot more difficult for the drivers to keep it clean. But the biggest obstacle for our drivers today should be the tire deck. If they start sliding around a lot, it might make it harder for them to keep it clean. But we are expecting a very exciting race, a pretty tight race at the top in terms of pace. So we are just closing in on our formation lap here.
As we look over to the grid, it is Eggfool setting that pole position in that Aston Martin with a 43.4 alongside Lappy in that RRP Mustang, only 1/10 down on Eggfool. Sharing the second row is Blue East Dirk, who is 2/10 down pole, and alongside him is JPEG Fox in that Aston Martin. The third row now is shared between Kirienka in that Dust Sim Racing Porsche. Starting alongside him is the RRP Lamborghini of Zephyr and Dirk's title contender for this race. P7 and P8 is Wolf and Foxdale for the number 529 Blue Shark E-Racing car, starting alongside the number 11 McLaren of Darky Filippi. I don't know. Rounding off our top 10 is another McLaren of Neo in that number 310 black, green, and white McLaren. And finally in 10th is the number 47 of Rico. And of course, last of our AM drivers is Husquarks in that 88 Ferrari. And behind all of them is none other than the safety car of Andrea Spitzer. Hopefully we won't be needing that today, but with Imola, it's really uncertain, and it's definitely looking like we'll probably need this.
Anything could happen for sure, and smaller grid today should hopefully help our drivers keep things clean, but we'll see as we head into turn 1. As we get going on our formation lap here around Imola.
That is right. It is currently, if I am right, 30 seconds until these guys roll. So enough time. That gives us enough time to give some questions to you, Kady. Who are you expecting to be the favorite of this race?
I mean, Eggful has been showing some very, very strong pace here so far. Starting on pole, obviously, gets the inside for turn one on the first lap, so that'll be a huge advantage for them on our first lap. But from there, it's just going to be a matter of managing the pace, managing those tires, and when you decide to pull the trigger to come into the pits, it should shuffle things around quite significantly. I'm expecting Dirk to be able to make up a couple places here. They were on track for their first win in the last round, but an incident unfortunately dropped them down to P7 after penalties, so they will absolutely be looking for redemption after that round, and they're in a very good position to do it starting on P3. Zephyr has their work cut out for them, I would say, starting P6 here. But again, because Electroshock is not taking part in this round of the championship, however many points Zephyr is able to get, whatever position they end up in, it should be enough to vault them up to the top of our table, assuming that Dirk doesn't overtake them in the process. So they will basically just be looking to keep it as clean as they can today. Just make sure to bring in those points, bring in that good result, and probably if I were in Zephyr's shoes, I wouldn't be fighting too hard on the first lap, especially being right in the middle of our field here, which is really the toughest place to be on a first lap. But that's who I'm looking at the moment. I think Eggful has a fantastic opportunity here, and we'll see what happens.
I can see that rear wing of JPEG, but yes, our formation lap is underway, and as you said, Dirk only has 2 cars ahead of him. I don't think they're threats to their championship hopes, but I'm sure that Dirk wants to make as much points as possible to make up for that deficit he has compared to Zephyr down in P6, who also would probably want to make a few positions, but at the same time does not want to risk losing any more of those points as the drivers head into Variante Alta. I assume that they will be going 2 wide soon, so it's going to be interesting to see how this race will unfold as who will blink first coming into Tamburello.
Dirk starting on the inside as well, so that will be very important as the car goes off there in the background on our formation lap. I would definitely expect to see at least some moves coming into turn one, hanging around the outside around Imola. You can make it work. It turns into the inside for the immediate next corner, so it is definitely possible if you have the pace. But it's going to be very tight, and our drivers are going to have to show off all of the racecraft skill that they have as we round out the final corner, and we are seconds away from our start at Imola.
That's right, Kady. Our drivers are now gridded up and are now just waiting for the green flag to wave because it's a long walk up into the start-finish straight. So they're definitely going to be taking their time as we speak. But Eggful looking like a solid position in P1 in Imola, really tricky to overtake. So as we head into the start-finish straight now, when will the green flag wave? When will these drivers blink? It's green light. It's green, 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 and away we go. It's a great start for Eggful. Dirk not having a great start. Zephyr is already ahead as we speak, as we head into Tamarello. It's a big crash! It's a big crash between the 2 title contenders! And Eggful, unfortunately, getting into the mix. Already chaos into lap 1 as we head into I assume we head into code 50 by the looks of things. Absolutely deserved, because that was a very chaotic circumstance. The title contenders running into each other, and Eggful being an unfortunate victim to that process.
That caught nearly every car in the field as Spitzer in the safety car overtaking the rest of our field here. We might go to a full safety car, but that affected nearly every car in the field as we go through this replay here. We're taking a look at our front two runners here, as there's just a brief bit of contact from the rear that just spun out, I believe it was our P2 driver, and just cutting across the track and collecting Eggfool in the process. That was incredibly unlucky for Eggfool there, who has now dropped to the very back of the grid, and it is going to be a full safety car. So Eggfool now having their work cut out for them if they want to salvage anything from this race.
Yep, Eggfool right here being the unfortunate victim of Dirk and Zephyr having that nasty accident. Oh, and Eggfool catching up to that
damage.
queue. Yep, I think Eggfool will be starting. No, Eggfool's still in the queue as we speak, so probably went too fast into the queue. So at the moment, we're still in safety car. Now, of course, this is the first time the safety car has been out in this championship. As we look over to the start that Dirk had, did not have a great start, and yeah, just clips the grass, clips Zephyr, and just tags. Unfortunately, these two tag Eggfool alongside them.
And not a bad rejoin there, but it did shake up the rest of the field. And like I said, I mean, I think there was at least 7 cars who went off track there at the start. So our leaderboard as it stands, Lappy has taken over P1 from where they started. That is actually ended up in exactly the same place, or gained a place from where they were in P2, as the safety car has come off now, and we should go back to green flag racing here in a few moments' time. But Darky Felipe jumping up 5 places there, definitely the big winner from that incident as we go back to green flag here.
Yep, it's a great start from Lappy, who's currently leading this race after the incidents that unfortunately collected our pole sitter Eggfool. Really feel for Eggfool, like setting that amazing lap time only for it to go away in the first corner, as you saw Dirk definitely conceding that position because of that incident. Dirk does not want to risk any more penalty points by the looks of things. But yeah, Wolfen going a bit wide just opens the door for Neo, but there is JPEG Fox alongside Lappy. Lappy might have gotten a poor exit, and that allows JPEG Fox to get the inside. They touch, and it's another big incident. JPEG Fox pointing the right way still, so I don't think we need a safety car, but that was pretty major hits at the moment.
And I mean, side by side coming into Piratella, it is hard to keep it clean through there. It's one of the higher speed corners on the track, and it's a very ambitious move to try to send one down there. And unfortunately, just didn't quite work out for JPEG there, down to 11th. And I believe the other car was able to maintain their position there. Riding on board now with Dirk, who is just sending one up the inside here as another a couple other cars go wide there. That's Felipe, who had just jumped up to P3, now has to fall down to 9th place, and we'll go back on the replay there. Just it looks like there was a very significant speed difference there coming into Ravazza 1 for Lappy there, and just touched the grass there on the outside. That is so easy to do, and when you start braking on that grass, basically instantly the rear will just snap on you. And so, I mean, at that point you're really just a passenger in the driver's seat there. Not much that Felipe could have done to avoid hitting that car there.
We are still in racing conditions by the looks of things, but the curse of Imola striking again for this race. Now, when can Imola catch a break? When can our drivers catch a break? Because I remember last time the AM Championship went to Imola, it was utter chaos on the opening laps. As you see Zephyr here right behind, trying to get past Kirienka, but Kirienka putting up a great defense against that Lamborghini. Now, of course, Kirienka now the wedge between Zephyr and Dirk. Now Dirk has to make up ground and probably catch back up to Lappy, but I feel like the stewards may want to talk to Dirk after these incidents come out.
We'll see what happens in the stewards' room. Kirienka, a big winner from these incidents here, has gone up a couple places up to our podium, and Hooseworks as well. So both of our former national drivers doing quite well in this race. Who's our biggest winner at the moment, up 6 places in P5 and just set one of our fastest laps here. Here's Eggfool, who has now jumped up to 6th. What a race that Eggfool has had. Started on pole, went down to last after that unlucky hit into turn 1, and then after the safety car has now gotten themselves back up to P6, so this is absolutely salvageable. We still have, it's been less than 10 minutes so far in this race, so there is plenty of racing left for Eggfool to show off the pace and hopefully get back up into those podium positions.
Of course, Eggfool on a mad dash right now after the restart. They are now up to 6th place. Excellent progress from the Aston Martin of Eggfool as Timberfox try to find their way around Rico, trying to find a gap, but Imola is a very tight old school circuit, so you really have to be patient with these corners and try to find the suitable opportunity, but at the moment JPEG still finding his way around Rico.
And Rico 4 seconds back from the next car, so this is a pretty isolated battle here, but the more that they fight, the more it gives the opportunity for the bluey car behind to start to catch up to them. We can see how that will evolve as time goes by. Keeping it clean so far, not a lot of mistakes. And here's Eggfool is caught back up to the back of another car. This is now Hooseworks defending from Eggfool for 5th place. Eggfool 7 seconds back from P4. So if Eggfool can get around Hooseworks here, and there's every indication that they'll have a good opportunity to into turn 1, they'll have some clear air to push here and show off that pace, and hopefully catch back up to the leaders. Back down, coming down to turn 1 here, staying in that draft. I don't think it's going to be quite close enough to be able to try a move. It's going to be tight. If he's going to pull out of the slipstream to the outside here and into the braking zone, not going to try it. Just going to stick behind, and that was probably smart with the bluey car right behind, just waiting to take advantage if they fight. And they're going side by side here into the second chicane. This is shaping up to be an incredible battle here as we go back to JPEG Fox, who is still very tight behind Rico.
Absolutely, the grid is now more evenly spread, so there's gonna be less of the chaos, but these drivers looking aggressive as of the moment, trying to get past each other. And as he said, and as that happens, Lappy, who has currently just set the fastest lap, is just running away with it. As you see JPEG Fox head down the inside, thinks better of it, tries to fight for another day. That was almost a move done, but I wonder where JPEG will be sending that send, because at the moment JPEG clearly faster than Rico by the looks of things, managing to keep that Aston Martin behind the Porsche as Rico gets a poor exit, and that just allows JPEG to go through. Now JPEG is now up into P8.
And choosing not to go down the inside there, Piratella ended up very much working out. JPEG thinking twice of it after the incident previously, and a lot of this race is just going to be about keeping close and applying pressure as Eggfool nearly sends one down the inside there into Ravazza 1, and still side by side manages to push Husk off the racing line, and that's going to open up Husk to the bluey car behind, who is also looking to get around. Very close between those two. And it looks like the blue car's, oh, and there it goes off into the barriers there. Just a slight tap on the door there, and they are stopped in the middle of the track heading into turn 1. This is a quite dangerous position for this car to be in as they pull back onto the grass. and the other cars were able to get around without issue.
I personally want to say that at the moment, Imola is taking no prisoners right now. Wolfen and Huskworks going side to side. They may have went a bit too argy-bargy, and that unfortunately, Wolfen is the victim in that scenario. As you can see here, coming into the... It's a big tap, but just sends Wolfen into the wall, into the middle of a high-speed section. And yeah, as I said, Imola is taking no prisoners. This is a chaotic race by the looks of things.
I think Wolfen thought that they were already ahead of the car heading into turn one and was trying to pull back onto the racing line to sort of block off any further moves there, but just did it a little bit too early and clipped the front end there. Here's Lappy lapping nicely out here in turn one. It's got a 2-second gap right now to Derg in P2, who has recovered quite well from the opening incidents in this race. And now it's just going to be a matter of maintaining this pace, set the fastest lap of the race so far, the only 43 of our front runners today, and it's just going to be clattering over those curbs there. The Mustang being very compliant over the sausage curbs there is probably giving them quite an advantage in pace over Derg, who in the Ferrari is not able to, is going to be a little bit more nervous over those curbs. So it's a matter of assessing the different cars' strengths and weaknesses here, as well as, of course, our driver ability, as Derg has absolutely closed up the gap there. That must have been a mistake from Lappy, as they're only about 1.3 seconds behind now.
Yep, Derg is closing in with 2 Lappy as we speak, but as he said, yeah, Imola is usually a circuit that prefers front-end cars like the Mustang. The cars that can really take those curves like a champ and just go with the flow, but the mid-engine's maneuverability proving useful in those technical curvy areas like Aqua Minerale. But as we head into I think it is Alta. Derg has a better exit and is right behind the slipstream of that RRP Mustang. But will Derg find a gap? Not quite, but Lappy, I think Lappy's gone a bit too wide, and that just opens Derg up. Not for the second Rivatsa, but for the main straight, because Lappy punching a massive car-shaped hole for Derg right now. That slipstream proving useful for the 296. Now will Derg send it into turn one, or will Derg think better of it? Because at the moment they are ahead of Zephyr. So yeah, it looks like Derg not making the gamble as of the moment, but really closing into Lappy, and it's just giving her a hard time.
And that just shows you the top speed of the Mustang there. As we cut to a replay now of I'm not sure which car this is. It's one of our Porsches. I believe it's Rico down in P9, heading into turn one here, and just again just clipping the grass there. This is our incident from before. So again, the blue car spinning there, and just cars looking to get around. Derg has cut the advantage down here to almost half a second. You can see the Mustang pulling away during the on the straights, and then the Ferrari catching up in the more technical sections. Back to Wolfen here, who's down in P10, currently in a battle for P9 with Rico, and is about 4/10 behind now as it stands, heading into the toss of hairpins. So getting into that part of the lap now where it gets a bit harder, but that's going to be a very good exit for Wolfen coming into Piratella. And are they going to try it? It looks like they are, pulling out of the slipstream, and Rico's going to try to hold it around the outside, and they're going to do it. That was quite just amazing racecraft there from the both of them, keeping it clean through there, and a great defense from Rico, just showing off the defensive skills there. And this battle is going to continue. These two are starting to lose time off of each other now with all of this fighting, but so far Rico putting up an adamant defense.
Yep, there is Rico making that 991 Porsche as wide as it can for Wolfen to struggle to get past, as we see JPEG Fox right behind the slipstream of Huskworks. Now will JPEG make a send into turn 1? They go side to side. It's going to be really close. Who will blink first? Is it JPEG? Is it Huskworks? They're side to side, but I think JPEG thinks better of it. Lives to fight another day, but I think JPEG got a better exit by the look of it, right behind the slipstream of the Ferrari again, but I don't think that's enough to make a move into Villeneuve chicane.
And that's part of the mind games that you have to play around Imola to get a move done. That looked like just kind of a dummy to the inside there for JPEG, trying to throw Huskworks off balance, and nearly did so. Huskworks having to sort of hold the outside around there and didn't get the best exit off of the Tamburello chicane. So that's the kind of mentality that you have to have around here. We go back to a replay here. Looks like Wolfen.
That is Lappy and Dirk.
That's Lappy and Dirk. So heading into Aqua Minerale here, and that's very, very wide. And that is going to be an easy overtake there.
That is the thing about Imola. It's pretty much a pressure on of who can stay on the track for the longest, because if you go wide, if you make a mistake, that just opens you up to your opponents. And now Dirk saying to Lappy, thank you very much for that mistake, because I now have the lead of this race. As we look over to JPEG, no, we look over to Lappy, still giving chase, but I think Dirk is slowly peeling away from that Mustang, using the 296's corner ability to take advantage of the technical bits of Imola.
Yeah, it was very helpful for defense to have that V8 Mustang just being able to pull away on the straights. But now we're going to see, as we head into sectors 2 and 3, we're going to see that gap open up. It's 1.5 seconds between them now, and Dirk showing some strong pace as we cut back to Huskworks here in P7. Is about a second behind JPEG got around.
Coming into Tamburello. Oh, and just Huskworks going
That's a big moment from both of them, really.
Yep, Huskworks and JPEG going a bit too wide. JPEG lucky to get back on the track as soon as he can, but Huskworks unfortunately having to travel a long distance in that gravel trap, loses a position to JPEG Fox.
And is now outside of the slipstream range, so they're gonna have to catch back up here. We'll be interested to see the kind of pace that they can put up. It's been a pretty good race for Huskworks so far. Still up 4 places from last on the grid, and is looking quite racy in that. Back to Eggful here, who is now up to P5. From first to last to P5 now, so back up in the top half of our timing table, and now has the clear air to be able to show off that pace. Just set a purple sector 1 on the last lap.
Yep, Eggful making up lost ground, now P5, so not too far off from where they originally started qualifying. And was that a bit of dust from someone kicking up dust? No, I think that was just Zephyr playing with the track limits. Right now, they are still in one piece. They are still pointing the right way round, and they are quite a long way from Kiryanka. Now that concerns me. Now Zephyr, unfortunately, quite some distance, so I assume that Zephyr's best hope is a good pit stop as we head into the pit window. With 15 seconds later on, we will be heading into the pit window, and now these drivers will now be pitting for fresh tires, a splash of fuel, and maybe some repairs here and there if needed. But Lappy is now closing in on that Ferrari once again. This battle has awoken, but Dirk's pulling away, which is unnatural because the Mustang is usually the better puller, but with the top speed, that Mustang just all over the rear end of that Ferrari and almost running into the rear end of Dirk.
This is going to be probably quite tight heading into turn 1 here, with Lappy having the benefit of the slipstream and the higher straight line speed. It'll be maybe an opportunity for a move here. But both of these drivers are probably going to have to start thinking about pitting soon. Those tires, especially on the Mustang, are going to be screaming out in pain with the hot track temperatures today, and not quite close enough for the move there. But is just staying in the rear view here, just keeping the pressure on Derg here. And Derg obviously has been driving a fantastic race so far, and if they were able to finish here ahead of Zephyr in fourth, it would be a huge swing for them in the championship, maybe even bringing them to the top of our table or close to it as the battle continues into sectors 2 and 3. And now we're going to start seeing some of our drivers pitting or thinking about pitting within the next 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, Plappy's still giving chase to Turk as we speak, but now it's down to a game of chicken. Who will jump the gun first? Who will make their pit stops? Who will go for the undercut, the overcut, whatever strategy? It's going to be interesting now to see who's going to pull into pit lane to make that important decision.
Bit of a moment there from Derg on the exit of Aqua Minerale. It's going to open them up to Lappy heading into here, and that is quite a send. And both P1 and P2 are in the gravel. That was a generous lunge there from Lappy, and they're both going to be able to get back on the track without too much of places lost there. But critically, that means that Zephyr is now right behind Derg, Zephyr's up to P3, and Lappy is behind Derg in P4. And that was not what either of those cars wanted, as they're now going to be carrying that damage for the rest of their race, or they're going to have to spend time during their pit stop to repair it, as we go back to the replay of that incident here.
Yep, there is Imola taking 2 more prisoners. Derg, unfortunately, taking a lot of brunt as of late in this circuit. Now, if the Nürburgring is called the Green Hell, I think for Simufur, we can all agree that this is the Red Hell, because of the red all over in the main straight. That's the only thing that defines Imola, especially the red stripe over there. As we head into the replay of the incident between Lappy and Derg now. Derg trying to put up a defense coming into Paratella, but Lappy unfortunately breaking a bit too late and tapping a little bit of that Ferrari, but that's just enough to send both of them in a wild spin into the gravel trap.
Just a racing incident there from where I'm sitting. It was a pretty significant lunge there from Lappy, but Derg was squeezing them quite a bit to the outside there, leaving just enough of a car's width, or so they thought. It ended up not being quite enough space. We'll see how the stewards think of it, but that is not going to help either one of their races. Our first driver in the pits here is going to be Darky Felipe, who is taking their tires now. The pit stop time around Imola is you lose around 75 seconds. So critically, when our top drivers start to pit at different times, we're going to be seeing that as Eggfool now is looking to get around Lappy, is side by side, and is actually nearly clear. This should be a pretty slam dunk move for Eggfool, and it is. Lappy's going to back out of it, and that's Eggfool up to P3.
Yep, Eggfool now back on the podium and bringing the fight as Lappy goes a bit wide, manages to recover it. And as the chat was discussing, is there anyone who hasn't been in a crash today? I was about to say the safety car of Spitzer, but someone's already gotten into that. And I don't think anyone got away with Imola. Imola has taken everyone, and when I mean everyone, like everyone, it's actually like that. Because
you know who stayed fairly clean is Kirienka. That's exactly what I was going to say. Who's now up to P1, go up 4 places from where they started on the grid. This is an incredible drive from them, and they are far clear of Zephyr in P8 or in P2, 8 seconds behind. So probably not going to, as long as they can manage the pace, This is looking very, very good at around our halfway point of the race for a win from Kiryenka on their first race where they're able to score points as an AM driver.
Well, as the chat of who hasn't got into an incident continues on, I think, yeah, Zephyr got that incident with Dirk at the start, and Kiryenka at one point was taken out in the Piratella, but still continued to driving as Zephyr comes into the pit lane. Now, this is the important pit stop. Will Zephyr come out ahead or behind Dirk? Because that's going to pay big, big price to the championship for Zephyr if Zephyr finds a way ahead of Dirk in the pit stops.
As Felipe comes off the track here, that looked like it was probably just a mistake coming into Aquaman or Variante Alta, and that is very, very easy to do, clattering over those curbs. It's a very fine line between making it over there okay and just upsetting the car too much. Here's Dirk now in P10 after coming out of the pits, it looks like. So right now has a gap of about 72 seconds, or yeah, it looks like about 82 seconds actually to the leader, so not far off. And we'll be watching their times closely. With that new rubber, they should be able to put in some fast laps if that damage didn't hurt their lap times too much.
And it looks like Dirk has yet to come out of pit lane. He does now, but there is Dirk alongside and is going to rush by. It is a close call for Dirk, who barely comes out ahead of Zephyr, and now on a chase for more points for sure.
And Zephyr's going to have fresher tires for the rest of this race, and with the track being as hot as it is today, that's probably going to play a lot into their hands. So it'll just be a matter of if Dirk can hang on to the tires for our entire race and defend well. We'll see how that evolves as things stand. More of our drivers coming into the pit lane. Here comes Lappy pitting from P2. And we'll see if they're able to come out ahead of those two. They'll likely be behind, would be my guess. But we'll see how things end up. It's a big speed difference between coming out onto the end of this straight and coming out of the pit lane. So even if they're not all that far behind, it can still be quite tight on the exit there. Husqvarna's up to P4, of course, still has yet to pit, but running in P4 in clear air right now. Now we'll be keeping an eye on Husk and JPEG Fox's race, and we'll see if anything if they get closer together after the pit stop phase.
At the moment, a lot of three drivers: Dirk, Zephyr, and well, how do you pronounce? Oh, that is Huskworks pointing the wrong direction. Manages to point back the right direction just quickly. I wonder how that happened. It was definitely something down Variante Villeneuve. So let's see what happens here. Coming into the left-hander, and I think, yeah, the car just spins under its own. It just rotates the car as Huskworks has to wait for the traffic to come out, as Lappy has come out of the pit lane. Now, are they ahead? Nope, they're definitely behind Zephyr and Dirk. So Lappy, unfortunately, settling behind those two.
23 seconds behind both of them, and that is so easy to do when you're heading in there. It's a very strong trail break as you're heading into the second part of that Villeneuve chicane there, and if you just hang on to a little bit more brake pressure than the car can handle, it's very easy to do. So Lappy has a little bit of clear air here, has the fresher tires than both Zephyr and Dirk, so an opportunity for them perhaps to make up some ground in the second half of our race, as it looks like what should be the rest of our drivers who have yet to pit are making their pit stops now. And that's right about the halfway point of the race, so that's right around when you want to do it if you want to minimize your tire dig throughout the two stints. Dirk right now the leader of our pitted cars, and is within 52 seconds of the next car. So by the time our pit cycles are complete, our podium should be Durg and Zephyr in P1 and P2, and then Lappy will probably end up a little bit farther behind, but we'll see how things shake out after the rest of these drivers pit.
It was quite a close call, but Kirienka has come out in front of Dirk by the looks of things and retains the lead of the race. Now, these drivers are now pitting in the halfway mark, so some risking the undercut, but some wanting the equal distribution of tire degradation. And Dirk, this really pays attention to the ones that pitted early, because they'll be taking the brunt of the tire degradation because it's really hot out there. Imola is a really abrasive and track, a lot of corners, and I think pretty rough road in general.
Yeah, definitely tire deg will be a factor here in the later parts of our race. Should make things very exciting and should give Lappy an opportunity, if they can catch back up to Durg and Zephyr, rather. They do have Eggful to get through, though, before they can get there, and they are just closing up on what I believe is some lap traffic here, which will also play a factor coming into the later stages of this race. If one or more cars get held up by a lapped car, that could change the order out front.
Yep, Lappy is currently 15 seconds behind by the looks of things, so it's quite a long way to go, but it's not yet over. Still have 27 minutes to go as Lappy coming up against, I assume it's a lap car. That is the number 11 McLaren of Darky. I'm just gonna say Darky because I can't say that. But yeah, Lappy making up lost ground at the moment.
And that looks like JPEG Fox still has not pitted, is taking these tires very, very late. And their lap times are showing it. Last lap was a 45.2, so quite a bit off of the pace of the drivers that have pitted so far. So they're probably going to have to come in fairly soon because they're bleeding time to the rest of the cars around them, but it should give them a very big tire gap for the rest of this race. They should be able to perhaps make up some places and provide us all watching with some action in the last couple laps of this one.
Now JPEG looks like he's going long, as you say, going for the gamble of having the freshest tires of the grid. So it's going to be interesting to see how that'll pay out, because Imola, while you do have the tire difference, and I keep on saying this, is a really tricky track when it comes to overtaking. It's really hard to go too wide here, as seen by a few examples. Wolf and Foxdale, as we look into Wolf Foxdale, definitely can tell to that experience with Huskworks in the main straight.
And Kirienka, by the way, managing that gap very well to Durg, is 4 seconds right now, and has been maintaining that for the last couple laps. It's been a very, very good drive from Kirienka so far in this one, up 3 places from their grid position, obviously benefiting from all of those incidents earlier on in the race, and continues to not just keep that gap, but as actually starting to pull away from Durg and Zephyr. So again, very, very good opportunity with 25 minutes left in the race for them to take this one home.
Kirienka, of course, promoted to the AM class, will now obtain points from wherever they'll be finishing, but Durg at the moment, with Kirienka quite a long way ahead, I think it's now all about making as much points as possible, even if it's this minimal, because with Zephyr right behind, that is not a big points gain for Durg. It'll still go into the hands of Zephyr for the championship lead, if I'm right.
I think that's right. JPEG still has not pitted, just crossed the line, and is still out there on their first stint, setting 46s now, a couple of seconds away in terms of pace from our top runners. So certainly just going for the gamble here has kind of accepted that they've already been undercut and are just trying to make that tire gap as big as possible. It's certainly a unorthodox strategy around here, but we'll see how it works out in the later stages. And Lappy's still holding on to that fastest lap of the race from the first couple laps of the race, in fact. So sort of as time has gone on and as the tires have been heating up on this hot track, it's difficult for our drivers to sort of maintain that pace. But JPEG here is on their 19th lap at the moment, and just as I was saying that, Eggful sets the fastest lap of the race on the newer rubber. That'll be a 43.5, so we might see Eggful close in on Zephyr in the last 20 minutes or so of this race and give them a fight. That would be something that Derg would love to see in P3 if they could fight with each other a little bit in the later stages, just to give them more of a gap, more insurance to secure this points haul.
JPEG right now still staying out by the looks of things. Is getting very risky. As I say that, JPEG comes in, the last of our AM drivers to make a pit stop. So it's going to be interesting to see where JPEG comes out, because 75-second pit stop time according to the strategy graphics. So JPEG definitely going to be dropping quite a long way down, but with the fresher rubber, I think he's got the wits to take that risk and go for pure racecraft to take it home for, I'd say, the last 20 minutes.
It will be a monumental task for sure. Here's Kirienka, and the gap has started to open up a bit as they go by the pit lane here. 4.7 seconds now to Derg in P2. So just continuing to manage that pace, continuing to set just solid lap times, not pushing the car too hard, saving those tires. That's exactly what you need to do around here, and it's all working out for them.
JPEG's just got rolling as we see Lappy come out of the main straight. Now, will JPEG come out just in time? I think JPEG will, but no, Lappy is quite close. This is going to be a really close one. A drag race coming into Tamburello, but Lappy with the inside. Well, it was an easy pass for Lappy, but JPEG perfectly slotting right behind the Mustang.
And that was huge for Lappy's race. If they had to get stuck behind Fox there on tires that they still needed to warm up, they could have potentially lost a lot of time to the front runners there. So that was a big opportunity there for Lappy, and just put in a good lap there. And JPEG now in P6. We'll see what they're able to do on the freshest rubber by far from the rest of the grid.
Yeah, but as you said, that rubber has to warm up quite considerably, and thankfully to JPEG's advantage, this track's already hot as it is, so pretty easy to warm up, but the problem now is cooling down those tires, keeping them as cool as possible in the operating window, because as we were saying, hot day outside, so it's going to be really rough on those tires as Darky, Felipe just takes the chicane right behind JPEG. They are a lap down, by the way.
The gaps throughout the rest of the grid have kind of opened up a little bit. There aren't any clear battles to follow here. JPEG is catching up back up to the back of Lappy after that pit stop phase. 2.2 seconds behind now, the closest of any other car in this race. And this will be their first real flying lap on these tires here. So we'll see if they have the pace to take the fight to Lappy.
And as I'm not sure if everyone's heard that, but the pit window's now officially closed. But thankfully, everyone's made their pit stop, so we don't have anyone to worry about in terms of pit strategy. Everyone's been a good driver when it comes to making their pit stops on time, but JPEG probably closing in on Lappy slowly but slowly, letting those tires warm up the more they run. So Lappy right now looks to be in quite a risk, but as long as Lappy puts up a solid defense, I think she'll do just fine trying to manage that Aston Martin right behind.
And the Acid and the Mustang pretty similar in terms of like general profile. They're both, you know, front engine cars. They both got pretty good straight line speed, and they both, you know, are struggling a little bit in the slower speed stuff. So not too much in terms of like car dynamics that's going to help one or the other pull away or catch up. It's just going to be down to the skill of our drivers as JPEG drops just a second or two on this lap. The gap up to 4 seconds now, and oh, that's going to be contact between Hooseworks and Rico there on the exit of, or really in the middle of the toss of hairpin. Let's go back and see how that happened.
Yeah, I think the car just went loose on Hoosework, or they might have clipped some grass. Yeah, they definitely clipped the grass there, just sends their car into a pirouette, and now trying to get back on track, but unfortunately Rico just catching Hooseworks trying to rejoin the circuit. But yeah, I think Hooseworks concedes the positions, as probably you should, but yeah, rather unfortunate case for Rico, who definitely didn't see that coming.
And I imagine even though Hoos gave the position back, the stewards probably have something to say about that rejoin. Just like basically came on perpendicular to the track and just like lost control of the car again, spun around, and just maybe wasn't watching the relative there, or you know, I would definitely consider that on the unsafe side as far as rejoins go.
Yep, Eggfool, keeping track of Eggfool's progress now. They are close to getting back on the podium. They are now 2 seconds behind Zephyr, and now not only will this pay into Eggfool's points agenda, but this may help Dirk's fight in the championship, because that's going to be less points for Zephyr to earn if Eggfool comes out ahead of Zephyr.
Eggfool setting the fastest lap of the race on their last lap, so definitely closing in here quite quickly at a speed of knots, as the gap is now down to 2 seconds.
Eggfool coming into the Villeneuve chicane now, really cutting down those lap times. They are now 1.8, well, almost. They are within 2 seconds of Zephyr. They are really cutting it close right now, as Zephyr tries to run away from Eggfool as much as he can, but that charging Aston Martin is just not stopping. It's inevitable, and Zephyr will really have to resort to defending later on.
Not a lot of laps left in this race, and it looks like Eggfool knows it. They are pushing hard, just desperate to try to get every inch of track here to try to close in as much as they can, and it looks like it's working out for them, as a bit of a moment there for Zephyr over the Variante Alta. That's going to allow Eggfool to close in even further. The gap now down to just 1 second, and in fact below a second, as we head into the Ravatsas for the next lap. Just 15 minutes left, so even if Eggfool is able to catch up here, they're not going to have a lot of time to get the move done. So it's going to be probably in the last couple of laps of this race that we're going to see this, but there's a very big speed difference here, as Eggfool is pulling out to the outside and into the braking zone. They're going to hold it around the outside there, and wasn't able to get the move done. Good defense from Zephyr there, but that will definitely get Zephyr thinking, and both of them just dropped a lot of time to Derg, so Derg is very happy to see these two fight in the closing stages of this race.
Oh, you are absolutely right, Kady. Zephyr now under immense pressure from Eggfool. all over the rear end of that Lamborghini. The Aston Martin is just not giving up and will try to pry their way into the podium places as Eggfool clips the grass. That's not gonna help them, but I think Eggfool hasn't lost much time, still trying to find the gap. Now Aqua Minerali, you definitely don't want to be overtaken there, so Eggfool just biding their time. This is a track where you really have to bide your time because your opponent snapping under pressures, that is the main weapon you need when it comes to a track that like Imola, where it's pretty tricky to overtake, especially because of those bumpy curves, those really tight track layout, and yeah, it's just really a game of patience.
Eggful on that last lap, by the way, a 1:42.9. That is half a second faster than even our whole qualifying lap. So just pushing every single inch that they can, and it looks like they're going to get another opportunity here. They're going to the inside this time, and it looks like they're going to be able to get ahead before the braking zone even, and that is a slam dunk pass for Eggful, who now takes the podium position, and now it's going to be Zephyr's turn. We can see what they might be able to do to fight back, but with the fresher rubber on Eggful's car, it might be game over for these two here.
I kind of get the sense that Dirk might be under pressure, but 12 minutes ago, Eggful has taken a position and is now back in the podium. Now, Dirk, I mean, Eggful, of course, on the charge, so, yes, as I said, Dirk under pressure, but as you saw ahead, that is a lapped car, so I think that back marker Eggful will have to be lucky with that back marker if they want to get any closer to Dirk.
What a race this has been so far. Honestly, Imola has been absolutely delivering. Here's Dirk up in P2, just still kind of maintaining that gap to Kirienka. The gap has come down slightly. It's down to around 4 seconds now, around where it's been for a lot of this race. But just a couple minutes ago, it was around somewhere in like the sort of 4.8 range. So the gap has come down slightly. So this might be sort of a last push from Dirk to try to make up the gap and compete with Kirienka for the lead of this race. But it is Kirienka's to lose here.
Yep, and as you saw ahead, there's a back marker for Dirk to pass. That is really going to make things more difficult in Dirk's pursuit of Kirienka and Dirk's efforts to run away from the charging Eggful. Eggful's, I think, still the fastest man on track by a margin amongst everyone here. So we're definitely going to see Dirk under pressure in the final stages as Kirienka continues on their cruise. They might have gone a bit wide a few times, but overall, keeping it clean, knock on wood. Hopefully I didn't curse that, but Kirienka just keeping things smooth. It looks like a smooth operation.
The question now for Eggful is going to be, they are catching, but are they going to catch in time? We only have 10 minutes left. That's going to be probably just shy of 6 or 7 laps. So not a lot of time here to make up that 4-second gap. And they are closing up, but it's probably going to take a pretty big moment or a mistake from Dirk to get Eggful into striking range. But I honestly, even if Eggful can't catch up, this is going to be, honestly, a pretty great drive from them in this race today. Started on pole, obviously. You have to remember, 5 minutes into this race, Eggful was in last place. So it's been quite a drive from them to get back up to where they are. And it's been a commanding race from Kirienka at the top, obviously. But obviously, shout outs to Eggful for making up as much ground as they have.
Absolutely, Eggful really making that magnificent charge from the back by the end of lap 1. Now, Eggful just continues fighting on. Right now, the fastest driver on track, so I think Eggful's going to be closing in, as he said, at a rate of knots to Dirk. So Dirk's not going to have it easy as Kirienka passes another back marker that Dirk has to pass as well, and in turn Eggful has to pass. So these blue flags are going to be important for both Dirk, Kirienka, and Eggful's case.
It's been pretty tame in terms of the blue flags for Kirienka so far. The traffic has been treating them quite nicely, so that's sort of helped them to maintain that gap. Eggful continuing to charge here. The gap now down to around 3.6 seconds to Derg here, which is about the gap that Derg has to Kirienka. And obviously, Derg has a back marker to overtake still, I believe, in this race. So it's going to be close here in the last stages. It looks like Eggful's charge has slightly stalled here the last couple laps. The gap has been staying right around 4 seconds here. So it's going to have to be some monumental qualifying level laps from Eggful or a big mistake from Derg to bring these two together at this point.
And as soon as Dirk passes Neo, and as well as Eggful passing them as well, there won't be any back markers to help shuffle up the order. So it's just down to clean air, full bore race against Dirk. Dirk goes wide, trying to get past Neo. That's going to pay into the hands of Eggful. There is Eggful now, putting the pressure on Dirk. That back marker, that unfortunate incident with the back marker, sending Dirk into the sending Eggful into the equation of this championship fight.
And the back marker getting right out of the way of Eggful there at the end, and the gap is now down to less than a second between these two. That is exactly what Eggful needed there, and it was just, I think Dirk got maybe just a little bit impatient trying to hang it around the outside of that back marker coming into the toss a hairpin, and just clipped the grass, and car just went out wide. As that's going to be another moment from them on the exit of Variante Alta, and it's going to be very, very close, half a second between them coming onto the last couple of laps of this race. And that is what Imola can do. It just transformed the last few laps of this race, and it has come alive here.
Now things are much harder for Dirk now, as you saw with Zephyr. That Aston Martin's top speed, absolutely lethal. Now can Eggful put a pass down into turn 1, or will Dirk be able to make that Ferrari as wide as it can? Here comes Eggful down into Tamburello. Thinks better of it, stays behind Dirk, trying to find a better opportunity to make the pass. But with 6 minutes to go, it is going to be really close as Eggful gets a better exit down Villeneuve. Dirk trying to put up a really strong defense. It's really elbows out racing between these two, and yeah, Dirk really feeling the pressure of that Aston Martin all over the rear end of that Blue E Ferrari.
Eggful ducking left, ducking right, is absolutely desperate to get around Dirk here, and Dirk is feeling the pressure. A couple of just little mistakes here on these last couple laps, and it's allowed that gap to stay this close. Now, Eggful with the fresher rubber will probably have an advantage in this fight, but they don't have a lot of time left. It's only 5 minutes left as Dirk goes a little bit wide there, and that's Lappy in the fence onto the entrance of, I believe, the hairpin. We'll take a look at that on the replay, but they're now down to P6 after that, and I think it was another just a little mistake here coming into. I kept it tidy through there, but just I'm really not sure what happened there, honestly. It looked like the car just kind of turned left on a straight, so I'm not quite sure what happened there. Maybe something hardware related, but that was absolutely not what Lappy wanted, and they're down in P6 at the moment.
I believe the Mustang might have got pretty loose coming off the exit of Variante Villeneuve. Now the Mustang pretty notorious on corner exit. Now Dirk really feeling the pressure of Egfu really defending, making it really hard to
Ooh.
get past. It is really close. They are bumper to bumper on each other. It's now a drag race coming into the Villeneuve chicane, but Dirk squeezing, but Egfu with the inside line, but Dirk hanging around the outside. A really brave move for Dirk, and just manages to squeeze past. Really tight argy-bargy action between these two.
Oh my goodness, that was inches away from disaster for both of these drivers. This battle has been incredible so far, and Eggful is still going at it, still trying to sort of duck around coming into Piratella here, and that it is so tough to take two cars through the Variante Villeneuve there, but both of our drivers here managed to keep it clean. These are some of our best AM drivers, and they are showing off their skills here for us today and giving us an absolute treat here in the last few minutes of this race. Just a few laps left.
Now I noticed coming down the Piratella, Dirk has been going wide a few times, so this really pays track limits into equation. Now, can Dirk afford to extend the track a little bit, or is he close on his track limits penalty as Eggful almost runs into the Ferrari of Dirk? Now Dirk just pulling away, trying to make advantage of corner exit. Now Eggful is now half a second in, now has to do it all over again, chasing the slipstream of that Ferrari.
It is so easy when you are just locked in, just seeing red and just looking at the back of another car there to focus too much on the car ahead and kind of forget your own line, and that's what kind of leads to those small mistakes right there. And you can see that it looks like they've caught right back up, in fact, and it's going to be very close between them as they kind of shuffle it out wide, and that is still an excellent defense from Dirk here, just picking their lines on the straights here to try to not block the Aston behind, but just to try to let them know that they're not gonna let them take this position without a fight.
Dirk throwing defense after defense, doing whatever he can to stay ahead of that Aston Martin, because this is going to be important for their championship hopes. Because if as soon as Eggful gets ahead of Dirk, this is going to pay into Zephyr's hands, because Zephyr right behind won't have much of a points deficit compared to Dirk.
And Kuryanka at this point is long gone, the gap at almost 10 seconds now, so it looks like Kuryanka is going to have this one in the bag. An incredible drive from them throughout this entire race. Started 5th, just kept it clean, kept the car out of all of the incidents that we saw today, and has just kept it incredibly clean here. And that is a commanding drive from the front as they come onto what should be either our last or our second to last lap here around Imola. So the opportunities for Eggful here are vanishing, and the gap is now up to 1 second now, so it's going to have to be absolutely scorching pace here from Eggful if they want a chance at this P2.
Now, I can confirm that it's the final lap. Kuryanka is on the final lap, and this battle is still going on. Will it be Eggful or will it be Dirk coming out ahead? It's really close here, really tight, sketchy, a little bit sketchy by what chat thinks, but yeah, really tight racing by the looks of things, and Dirk just running away as of the moment. Not quite, but still managing to keep a sizable gap between the Aston Martin and the Ferrari.
Not a lot of opportunities left on the lap here. It might have to be across the line that they take this position, but the advantage here is absolutely on Dirk. They managed to hold them off, and the biggest overtaking opportunity of the lap into turn 1, and the opportunities now are swiftly vanishing. The best braking zone is coming up here, and it doesn't look like Eggful is going to be close enough to make the move, as Kuryanka should be crossing the line very, very soon to take the checkered flag as they're rounding out the final Ravazza here and crossing the line. An amazing drive from our former national, now our AM driver, as Kirienka takes the win, and Dirk, crossing the line P2, manages to hold off the rapidly closing Eggfool for P2, and Eggfool rounding out our podium at P3. An incredible battle between those two. What a drive from all of our frontrunners today.
Well, one thing's for sure, the stewards are going to be very, very busy tonight with all these penalties that are going to be given from all these reports. A lot of incidents, a lot of sketchy moves tonight, but it's really just really tough racing between everyone. And in some cases, like in Lappy's unfortunate case, it has led to a few crashes.
Yeah, I think the front bumper of that Mustang there just about gives us the summary on today's race. I would say, as Lappy crosses the line in P6, absolutely not what they wanted from today, but all in all, a fairly good recovery. And Eggfool, as Kirienka takes some donuts here off the racing line. Eggful, starting from pole, obviously, down to first and back up to a podium position, despite getting caught up unluckily in that lap one incident. Absolutely my driver of the day.
I gotta say, Kirienka keeping it clean, but my heart goes out to Eggfool for that absolute monster of a climb. Because starting from the back by the end of lap 1, Eggfool has been on a mad dash. And I mean a mad, mad dash. Because Eggfool from the back of the field into the podium places and the fastest lap for the cherry on top.
Yeah, faster than any of our drivers today by a wide margin, at least in the race, at least a second faster on their fastest lap than anyone else. So yeah, absolutely scorching pace today, and they deserve that podium.
As the race concludes and the drivers get to cool down after such a hectic race, that's for sure. Imola took no prisoners today because the curse of Imola is striking again. We've had this happen in the Amchap, a massive pileup in the Tamburello chicane, now a big off between Zephyr and Dirk in the Tamburello, and a lot of incidents following after that.
Yeah, that'll be. I was hoping that this was going to be a little bit cleaner in the dry, but it doesn't need to be a wet race for Imola to be dangerous. Absolutely, that's a great result today from Derg, finishing in P2 after that heartbreak in the last round of this championship. A very good recovery from them, and they will absolutely be welcoming the points haul over Zephyr for the championship heading into our final round. We're going to have a 3-car battle for the championship, and I will not want to miss that. That's going to be just an incredible time.
That's for sure, but as we say, a lot of these drivers have to visit the steward's office for some incidents and some rather rather questionable moves. But at the end of the day, in our point standing as it loads, well, as we wait for that, well, yeah, definitely a lot of people to visit the steward's office. Is that you agree there, Kady?
I absolutely. I think almost everyone. Of course, smaller-ish grid today, but definitely just a lot of people caught up in a lot of different things, and I'm sure the stewards will be quite busy.
Our points are still loading up, but yeah, stewards are gonna be very busy tonight. So, I speaking of stewards, well, these are just some of the wonderful people that keep these series running. So if you want to support Simufur, go ahead. There we do have a Patreon for special, and Patreon perks include early accesses to championships like this one, a VIP chat, and and yeah. And besides that, go visit our Simufor Discord as well at discord.gg/Simufor. We have a great community full of furries and sim racers to see a lot of teams like Blue E, RRP, and Garage 42. So if you want to come down, meet a few sim racing furries, well, Simufor is the place for you.
Absolutely, and pretty much everything that we do, most of the time, it's this is about as normal of a day as we have in Simufair. There's a lot of just really exciting races like this, and I've shout outs to our wonderful admin and staff team who organize all these series and put this stuff together. We have a lot of incredibly talented drivers that you saw some of them today, um, and it's just the fun keeps going.
The fun keeps going indeed as we wait over to the points now. I want to ask now. I don't think you'll be here for the silver championship, but what will you be expecting coming into the silver champ as you watch the race? Assuming you will.
Oh, for the silver, yeah. I mean, I would love to watch that for sure. But I'll be on the sidelines this time. You won't be hearing my wonderful voice on the commentary for that one. But I'm not as sort of up to date on what the leaderboard for our silver championship looks like at the moment. But I know we have a lot of like really strong drivers in there. Oily Rags, obviously, another Bluey driver. We got a lot of those in here. Um, leading the championship right now with a couple of wins and podiums under their belt. Next up is Blade Wolf, just 9 points behind. So again, another another very tight championship on the silver side. So make sure to join us in just a few minutes time for the silver championship, which we'll see if they can keep it clean. But if this race was anything to go off of, it's going to be an uphill battle.
Well, speaking of Bladewell, unfortunately, I've heard from them in chat that they won't be racing tonight. They are, I think, on holiday. Yeah, so
Oh, well,
we won't
have a
be
wonderful
seeing
holiday, Blade Wolf.
we won't be seeing a few drivers, but we will see a few drivers coming back. As far as I know, I think some returning drivers include Palikwi, who is a pretty solid driver from my team. They have a lot of quick experience from iRacing and are very quick. But on ACC, it's going to be interesting to see how they fare, especially in Imola.
I've seen them be very quick. I remember trying to chase them down maybe a year ago in our first Friday Night Lights championship, and they were absolutely just was able to turn on the pace on a dime. So yeah, absolutely, just extremely talented driver.
Okay, now going over to our championship standings as they have now finally loaded. We have Dirk here who, oh, hold on. Dirk has actually taken the championship lead. I did not know that. But the assume pending penalties because a lot of these drivers have to visit the steward's office. Zephyr short behind with 3 points trailing behind. It's going to be really close between these two. And there is JPEG sweeping into the third place in the standings, and now Electroshocks now has to fight JPEG as well for third, and hopefully try and pry his way into Zephyr and Dirg's fight, but it's going to be less likely. Unfortunately, Electro had to miss out this round, and there are no drop rounds. This is a 4 round race. Unlike the traditional 6 round format, this is the 4 round. You have to participate in all of them for maximum points. And skipping that, we now have Eggfool, who has gained 3 places from that phenomenal performance. Now 43 points behind. Behind Eggfool is Lappy with 42 points, tied with Wolf and Foxdale, also 42 points. In P8, we have Neo in 30 with 34 points. Kiryenka with that wonderful debut, 25 points in the bag for our recent race winner, and Cass completing the top 10 with 18 points, though unfortunately had to miss out on this round due to technical issues. In our final four finishers, J Bay is with 15 points, Verona with 13 points, and Huskworks, our final points finisher, with 11 points, leaving Irby, our only non-points finisher by this as it stands. Anyways, this concludes the Simufur AM Championship. Don't go away. We still do have the Silver Championship over on our next live stream. So go over to the Simufur YouTube channel and get there as fast as you can as soon as we end this broadcast. Anyways, it's time to sign out. Once again, I'm Suzuka Shark. Alongside me is Kady, and behind the scenes working on the camera work is Denak, and we would hope to see you in the next race.
Good afternoon, everyone. 10 minutes time. Go see it. It's going to be awesome. Um, just like you're really good at like sort of ping ponging stuff to me. So I really enjoyed it. That was a lot of fun. I would love to be back again. Yeah, yeah. I'll go ahead and clear out. So Suzuki, you're staying on for the silver race, right?
Yep.
Oh my God, the fun never stops for you, truly. That's I hope you're not too tired after all this.
What is tired?
All right. You two take care. I'm gonna